What's going on, guys? It's Kyle. Welcome to the Stock Goat YouTube channel. I am so hyped to drop this video for you. The video I put out this morning was the upgrade from Dan Dolev, and he just came out live on CNBC and smashed these bears, specifically that one bear that gave us that nasty downgrade yesterday from Wedbush, and he said this guy is delusional, living in fantasy land. He also disclosed the big reason why Sofi is holding these loans and not selling these bad boys. Just like I said in the last video, I said they're sitting on gold, and he said the exact same thing. The difference, if they sold them, the past, quarter or whatever, they'd be getting like a 5% return rather than holding for a 6.4%. That's a 1.5% difference. So that's what they did the research on, why SoFi is holding these loans, and that's what the outcome came out to. There's also other things that he analyzed that the bear said, and he said this guy was living in fantasy land. We got the $9 price target, and guys, I literally recorded this on my TV. So this is going to be dropping faster than CNBC, because their YouTube takes a little bit of time to update. So be sure to smash the like button. Let's try and get this video to 1,000 likes so as many people can see this video as possible. Be sure to drop a comment. I'm going to be commenting back to as many people as I can. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel, guys. We are absolutely exploding right now. Let's try and get the channel to, 15,000 subscribers, in the next month or so. We're going to be putting out as much content as we possibly can for you guys. Let's get into the interview on CNBC.
Stanley worried about personal loan risk, and just yesterday, Wedbush downgraded the bank, saying it might be at a tipping point when it comes to loan originations and sales. SoFi is down over 25% in this month. But could all the negative buzz be misplaced? My next guest says the bears are weighing down the stock, and investors should start paying attention to the yield on the loan SoFi is already holding. Joining me is Dan Dolev. He's managing director at Mizuho Securities. It's good to see you again. Why do you feel the need to come out and defend SoFi here? Or let's put it differently, what's the real opportunity that you see?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think people are just I think the bears are mathematically and intellectually completely wrong on this one. So let me explain to you the three things they're saying and why they're wrong. First thing is they're saying they can't sell the loans, and that's why they didn't sell any loans. It's not that they can't sell the loans. We did some work that shows you that they're earning a better yield by keeping the loans on the balance sheet, about 6.4% versus selling them for 5%. So if I told you, hey, you can keep it here, right?
Right.
Why buy the cow if you can get the milk for free?
And that it is also a function of high interest rates. When you go back a decade ago, or not quite, but the opposite might have been true. But today the situation has changed.
Exactly, and they're very high quality loans, right? They've got a book of about $9 to $10 billion personal loans.
Well,
750.
Quality might be in the eye of the consumer when it comes to a macro downturn that we appear to be heading into.
I totally agree, but if you think about it, though, the average FICO on SoFi is like 740 or 750, right? Wow. I think it's even higher than my FICO. Don't tell anyone, but it's a very high quality. It's as good as it gets, right? This is not sort of the low quality subprime loans. Those are very high quality loans. So if they can keep them for 6.4 rather than selling them for 5. That's a huge trade, and that's why they didn't sell them.
So that was the first point. There were two others.
The two other points is that their accounting might change. That's actually very false, because regulators do not allow you to change the accounting. Once you choose an accounting methodology, which for them is the fair value accounting, they cannot change it to the other accounting. So that's not going to happen. Those loans are not going to be valued at par. And then the third one is there was a disclosure that if they needed liquidity, they might have to raise capital. That same disclosure was around when the S1 or the original 10K came out. So there's nothing new there. So I could refute all three of those bear points, and I think they're completely wrong, both mathematically and intellectually.
Do you say that even being somewhat cautious about prospects for fintech, broadly speaking, right now?
I think this is actually a super interesting question. I think they're at the sort of juncture of fintech and sort of small bank. And I think they kind of fall in that bucket, right? And they're saying, hey, we're a small bank, like, look at us. And it just it puts like more fire on them, but it's completely wrong. I mean, they're getting $10 billion of deposits, $2.7 billion of deposits every quarter. People in my industry use them as their primary bank.
Really?
Yes. And every dinner that I go to, people say, hey, I've just started using SoFi as my primary bank.
What attracts them?
I think the high interest rates, it's very simple. The high yields, right? They're offering like close to 5%. Very, very simple, very intuitive. And you don't need the branches.
So I would be, and probably in the past was very bullish on fintech because of the elegance of the model. But some of the offerings from Chase, all the big banks, are now extremely good. And the yield that they're using to attract people, to me, is the red flag here, right? Like, if all of fintech is competing on yield, that's not a great game to be playing, is it?
But they're also giving you something else. They're giving you $2 million of FDIC insurance, which a lot of other banks don't give you. So the security and the safety is attracting a lot of people to them.
It's interesting that that worked because it's a kind of move, in other words, helping on the back end move that money into different accounts that others could offer, or many others have been offering in the traditional banking space for a long, long time.
Exactly. So I mean, you can put everything in one basket because you can feel secure that your money is safe, and that's what SoFi is doing. And I think that's a huge move for them. And I expect them to get even more deposits over time.
Right. Even though others presumably could do something very similar, maybe they just had the first, with the idea or the sophistication to pull it off. Why are you then kind of more cautious about fintech generally speaking right now?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think that there's a lot of headwinds coming to fintech, right? For example, we downgraded Visa, last year, and that was part of it was because of the cash to card, which is driving about a third or 45% of the growth is coming from cash to card migration. We're hitting the ceiling of that. The more important one, July 1st, the Federal Reserve is coming up with a real-time payment scheme. And
FedNow,
exactly. It's called FedNow, and everyone's dismissive of it. But if you go back to the DOJ indictment of Visa when they tried to buy Plaid, the Visa executives actually said that if they can't buy Plaid, this is in the DOJ indictment, they can't buy Plaid. It's a $300 to $500 million headwind to their debit business by 2024. By the way, that's like 6 months from now.
The FedNow will be, because it's coming into the picture, disintermediating some of that by allowing these easier direct payments.
Correct.
It's a clever thing to do to read their defense of why they want a merger to proceed, and then it reveals, and that merger was ultimately blocked.
It was blocked. So they didn't buy Plaid. What should we not believe them? I actually believe them. I believe that they were really worried about Visa Direct, and that's why they wanted to buy Plaid, and it didn't work out.
In other words, are you saying that the Fed is casting a shadow across fintech because of FedNow?
It's just changing. I think that the last mile is a huge winner. So companies like Toast, even companies like Square, that have that consumer relationship are better off than the companies that are once removed and are just either doing the processing or the networks. So it's the last mile. It's the bank, the neobank like SoFi, those are the winners. So things are changing.
And what's your price target on SoFi? Because the downgrade yesterday, I think Wedbush put a $2.50 price target on the stock.
$9.
$9, so almost a double from here?
Correct.
All right, Dan, you're on the record. Thank you for coming in. We really appreciate it today. Dan Dolev with Mizuho. That does it for us for the exchange.
Oh my God.